Hey guys, Steve Zonardo here with Remax West Zonardo Associates. Happy Tuesday morning. I hope you had an amazing weekend. Just a quick update on the market. Current inventory right now, we're at 13,029 units. So we've come down about 8% since last week's reporting of 14,100 units. So we're down 8% in inventory, and sales stayed very steady. So 811 last week, and now we're at 800 this week. So it's been steady. Obviously, this is good news for our sellers right now in the market. As inventory is getting lower, we're having more opportunities to sell. Hence the past sales that we've been having, and also what we're experiencing now with our current listings, that we're having buyers call and request information. And this is usually a good sign, because it's a typical market where a realtor has to provide as much information as possible, especially if you're the listing agent, to the buyer's agent. And once the buyer agent has enough information to relay back to their buyers, then ultimately we get an offer and we start to negotiate. So now we're in the process between 3 or 4 of our listings where we're basically following up on our buyer agents, let's call them the leads, and ultimately keep tapping and keep providing them information. Hopefully we get more property sold. We know the Bank of Canada is meeting tomorrow. Do we see an interest rate hike on the overnight lending rate? I know there's a lot of people in the market right now talking about that they're not going to raise the interest rates any further because there's enough damage to the real estate market, and you're starting to see a slight curve in inflation. Not much. I think it was like 0.2 or 0.3%, but that's people think that that's going to be like a snap of your finger type action. That's going to take like 3 to 6 months. Once the general public stops spending money, then you're going to start seeing that inflation down. So how do you obviously curve that? You have to make everything unaffordable. Then people stop buying items, and ultimately it comes down, and then we have sort of like maybe a 2% inflation. I think that's the key goal for this. But regarding that, are they going to raise the rates? For me, I believe they will. Once someone's being whipped, you keep whipping them until the end. And naturally, the way that these big organizations work, like the government and Bank of Canada, they don't understand the damage that's actually happening. They always should get that information a lot later in data form. They don't actually see the current damage. So if we kind of look at what the Bank of Canada is saying, or actually BMO, for example, and this is, and I believe what they're saying too here. So BMO sees Canadian rates rising above 4% if housing finds a floor. So what they're saying is housing has not found the floor yet, because what they're seeing here is that even last month it had, I believe it was 11%. Yeah, right here, it's 11%. More sales from the previous month, so they're on a little bit of an uproar because people are starting to feel more comfortable with the new rates, and they're starting to see deals on houses that they want. So ultimately, they're starting to buy. But ultimately, what they're going to do here is flatten it further and make it more unaffordable, so it brings the sales even further down. So this is where I believe we'll see that interest rate hike tomorrow. I think currently, right now, if you kind of look at the Bank of Canada, or not the Bank of Canada, TD Bank, because I follow TD. We do all our business banking through them. So just to kind of get a general idea of what the rate is, this is why I always refer back to TD. But if you get a 5-year fixed close, it's 5.34%. Remember, this rate, I locked in January in our mortgage, and it was even a blend. It wasn't even a full discounted rate. It was at 2.12%. And I could have got something at 1.8%. So imagine in January, this number here was 1.8%. Now it's 5.34%. And let's see what happens tomorrow when they do. Well, let's see if they do an interest rate hike. Obviously, this will be adjusted. So do we see now 5.5% or 5.6%? And then here, look at your prime rate. Right, this is how your line of credits work. So this is basically the rate on your line of credit currently right now. You might have a smaller discounted rate, but this is what it's going to be if you have an open-ended mortgage. And that's it. I think one more thing to look at, even with the market, and obviously not into conspiracy theories, I can care less about them, but when you see a vast amounts of money being withdrawn out of the current market, or just the general market, like with banks that we use on a daily basis all through the world, and there's a big organization that actually pulls billions of dollars, and they're doing it in such a time period that's just alarming. It's like T-minus 30 days. We want all our monies out of all our liquid cash out of the market, any other market outside our particular bank, and that is our holy bank. So if you kind of look at this, So Pope Francis has on August 23rd has instructed, I guess, all his money managers to withdraw all money out of the market, or liquid cash out of the market, and to bring it back home into the Vatican Bank within 30 days. Actually, this was sent to me by a friend. That scares me. Never mind because it's the Catholic organization or anything like that. It doesn't matter. It's they have their own banking system, and they're pulling everything out of the market and they're pulling it back home. This could be anything. This could be like a Tesla or whatever, but it's just a huge organization pulling beyond billions out of the the going market, and they're bringing it back home. So that's something to keep an eye on. If the Christian church is pulling all their liquid assets out of all regular banking and bringing it back home under their control. I don't know. I know I was reading the article and it was talking about some sort of fraud that happened in England, but that's not the world, right? That's just in small markets. And if it's like $3 billion, I don't think that's going to hurt the Roman Catholic Church too much. So there's something, obviously, another reason why they're pulling all that money back home. But anyway, we'll keep an eye on that if that's a little bit alarming, but it is what it is. We'll keep it going. And that's it, guys. If you have any questions, always reach out, 647-962-4372. Ciao.